Usually when a new unit releases, builds tend to stay the same. However, every once in a while, such as it has been with Yugo in the past, there comes a new agent around who warps basic gameplay rules in such a massive way that it can completely shift how good a certain disk drive set or even weapon is. So today let's talk about how Dialyn changes builds, and we will begin with Dialyn. Because in my opinion it is important to understand why this is the case and not just that she does it. For a deeper understanding of Dialyn, I would highly recommend you to dial in to my Dialyn guide. You will find a link to my guide in the description or also in the top right corner right now. Dialyn is a quick swap stunner who effectively at least doubles the amount of ultimates your main carry gets and can possibly get out even more ultimates. That, however, depends on a lot of factors. She can either convert a chain attack into an ultimate during the stun window at the cost of 60 points, or forcefully open a stun prompt outside of the stun window for 90 points instead and force an ultimate that way. Contrary to popular belief, the in-stun conversion is not just a free additional ultimate, however, because people do not account for opportunity cost and you do in fact give up one chain attack in exchange. This one chain attack loss does also come at the cost of usually at least 200 fewer decibels, and that means you can in fact expect around 600 fewer decibels per fight. Or even worse, as some characters' chains do even give up to 300 decibels. In addition, chains also often inflict significantly more anomaly than ultimates do. In the case of Ellen, for example, 523 anomaly on her chain and only 168 on her ultimate, and that is yet another factor to account for, as it can result in fewer anomaly procs and hence also again less decibels. Anyway, a point being, either you spend 90 points to get an ultimate without sacrificing a chain on your main carry, but potentially sacrifice future conversions due to the higher cost, or you spend 60 points to sacrifice a chain for an ultimate, but get more uses of Dialyn's conversions in a fight. Regardless of what you choose, however, nearly every character usually prefers the ultimate over other skills, and hence it is a plus in every regard. So why does this matter? Let's take a look at Ellen, for example, and more specifically Polar Metal. Polar Metal was always a worse choice than Woodpecker on her due to requiring freeze or shatter, and assuming a team of Ellen and Lycaon, without Dialyn they usually inflict 5 freezes per fight against ice weak enemies. If we replace Lycaon with Lighter now, we obviously would inflict less, but the same also applies to Dialyn, and this becomes even worse as we now get fewer chains and more ultimates, which again results in even less anomaly build-up, around 1200 less in fact. Ellen here is a really good example on how Dialyn can influence builds, but it is not only restricted to Ellen. The same line of thought can also be applied to Soldier 11 or Sujuan, for example, even if the outcome is not the same, but more on that later. But as already established earlier, Polar Metal has always been a worse choice than Woodpecker, so why do I bring it up? The answer is Puffer Electro. Puffer Electro is a set that massively profits of ultimate uptime, and with Dialyn being able to provide even more of them, that also means we can now up the average uptime on it while also profiting more of the ultimate damage bonus it provides. While Puffer has been a just slightly worse choice when played with Lighter or Lycaon in an Ellen team, when played with Dialyn it now outperforms Woodpecker, and while maintaining 2 stacks on Woodpecker during stun has never really been much of a problem for Ellen, especially after her buffs, Puffer is still easier to handle than Woodpecker is, and even more so if you care about maintaining actual good uptime on either of them. Additionally, Ellen also profits more of Yugo's signature now, being very close if not even up with her own signature. As a small side note, the better your substats are, the better Yugo's signature becomes. This is because Ellen's signature provides crit rate, a substat obtainable stat, whereas Yugo provides defense threat, a stat that is not obtainable from substats. Yugo has the big advantage that he runs double stunners, which means goodbye Lycaon and hello Dialyn. For most players, Puffer Electro will still be a worse choice than Hormone Punk, and this is simply due to most players taking longer than 20 seconds to stun in between each stun window, which means that they can assume 100% uptime on Hormone. However, if you are a really skilled Yugo player, shout out to Null here, you will often find yourself in a situation where you will be stunning faster than the inherent 20-second cooldown of Hormone Punk. That also means the better you play your Yugo team, the worse Hormone Punk becomes. And because Puffer does not have set inherent cooldown, when played properly it can actually outperform Hormone Punk for good Yugo players. Sujuan can suffer from the missing anomaly build-up due to less chains, and running Dialyn effectively means your third slot has to be Nicole, and you also will have to very properly manage your ether build-up with her to make effective use out of it. If you can do that, you can expect Chaotic Metal to still be a better choice over Puffer Electro. But the worse your ether uptime becomes, the better Puffer Electro will be. That also means while Dialyn does inherently not really change her sets too much, Puffer Electro can be not only a better but also easier to handle choice, and for most players I would hence recommend a 4-piece Puffer Electro over a 4-piece Chaotic Metal. At least that is the case with Brimstone. But Sujuan's best in slot weapon is not Brimstone anymore. It is Cordis Germina, even if just by a small amount. And Cordis Germina means that we can now run crit damage in slot 4 instead of crit rate, as well as shifting basically all of our crit rate substats toward crit damage and attack percent. This means that crit damage is now heavily saturated, and surprise, Puffer Electro is now basically even with Chaotic Metal, even with a high average uptime on it. And if you cannot maintain Chaotic Metal's uptime well, even Woodpecker can be better than Chaotic now, with Puffer Electro being the best choice you have. Soldier 11 has the small problem that she cannot give up Lighter, as it would completely mess up her Inferno Metal uptime, so your best bet would be Lighter and Dialyn. Dialyn and Orphe is really fun to play, but Orphe's Fire Anomaly build up is completely non-existent, so we cannot really run it either, at least if we want to play Inferno Metal. Running Lighter and Dialyn, however, means that we are stunning way too fast, and that results in us not only not being able to line up Soldier 11's resources for every stun window, but also Dialyn's resources are looking a little bit weird. All in all, that means in a usual Lighter and Astra team, Puffer Electro is a much worse choice than Inferno Metal is. And when played with Lighter and Dialyn, we will get 1 burn less, which also means less Inferno Metal uptime, and due to that, the gap closes a bit. Not enough, however, to warrant changing sets, and very importantly, due to quick stuns, we can not always line up our regular ultimate with the stun window anymore. And regardless of which character we are talking about, the takeaway is usually always the same. Any character that can run Dialyn and deals a significant portion of the damage with the ultimate will profit off Puffer Electro more than before. For some characters such as Yugo and Alan, Puffer Electro can even outperform their latest best set, and for some characters such as Sujuan or Soldier 11 it is a little bit more complicated, but depending on your substats and skill level, Puffer Electro can still be a very good set that has at least the potential to outperform the competition. Some other notable mentions go to Nekomata, Billy and Corrin, who I also would all recommend Puffer Electro for when played with Dialyn. The reasons as well as the damage difference stay pretty much the same for those characters as they are for the previously mentioned ones, and that means you can expect a 2 to 3% damage gain over the current best sets, but this video is already really pretty long for effectively telling you go and farm Puffer Electro, and for Alan, get Yugo Signature instead. With that being said, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, leave me a comment on whether or not you will be getting Dialyn or you already did, and join the Discord. A special thanks goes to my YouTube and Patreon members who make this content possible. If you wish to support me, you will find a link to my Patreon in the description, or click the join button right below this video. And as always, I appreciate all of you and wish you a great day. Peace.